Good morning, guys. I'm going to be on here a few minutes this morning. I am still working on our home office studio. We still got quite a few things that we're waiting to come in that we have ordered to get the studio up and running. So I look forward to sharing y'all the final results. But that's not what I'm here on here this morning. Bear with me. I've been in the studio all night, working pretty much. I'm operating off about, 2 hours of sleep. It is what it is. But I got up this morning to go do something and made a mistake and looked at my phone. And when I looked at my phone, I noticed there was a question that I just could not ignore and felt, okay, let me take a few minutes to answer it. So I threw on my little baseball cap, put on a little lip gloss and some earrings in my ear. I'm like my grandma. My grandmother never left me anywhere without putting some earrings in her ear. Excuse me, the air conditioners come on, and hopefully it doesn't mess with my volume too much because I don't want to have to edit the volume in this video. But at any rate, and I know I have got some new people on my page because the question that was asked, I had already answered this before, but I have no problem in answering the question. So let me answer that question. The question that was asked was, how did I get started in the music industry? I'm pretty sure this question is stemmed from the latest post that I've been putting up in regards to my music journey. So I thank you for the question. So I'm going to sound a little repetitive to some of my older followers. I hate calling y'all followers because I don't have any followers, but I don't know what else to call y'all. So forgive me. It's not the way it sounds, but at any rate, let me not get sidetracked. First, let me establish, I've never committed to the music industry. I've never signed with a label, although quite a few labels expressed interest in my music. I just didn't feel like I was a good fit for that industry. Still don't feel that way. Anyway, but I got pulled into the music game by chance, an accident, an incident, an unexpected incident. There's no way to make this story short. So I'm just gonna retell it. And here the story goes. I had a friend a couple of years back, and I were both on a large committee board that was responsible for organizing this huge statewide annual festival. My friend was part of the team that helped organize the music part of the events, and she became close friends with this one very talented artist from Maryland, and they just hit it off real well. And after I met her, I understood why. I learned that her new friend needed help with expanding her music. The way I learned it was probably not the best way to introduce me to her, but it is what it is. She was really good, but she only captured the attention of a small audience in the DMV area. Although she worked with some big names in the industry. And I'm talking about within the state and outside of the United States. But whenever she wanted to expand her music, they would use her talent. But to help to really grow her own talent and her own music, they were nowhere to be found. And it was kind of sad because this girl was, she is really talented. By the way, she's no longer in the music industry. She's doing something else that makes her happy. But I hope you find your way back to the music industry with the right people. Any rate, But my friend and her new friend couldn't find a way to expand her talent, to really get her music out there. And so she was talking with my friend, asking her could she help her out. And my friend told him, sis, I can't help you, but I know someone who might can. Well, she didn't say might can, I know someone who can. So my friend invites me out to this really, really nice restaurant for lunch. And of course she paid for it. And so we're sitting there enjoying each other's company like we always do. And then she throws this curveball at me during lunch when she brought up her new friend's situation. And I thought I was just there just listening. That was it. She was just sharing the complications and details of the struggle that my friend was having, her friend was having at the time. And then she tells me, I told her, this is my friend telling me this, I told her, you can help. To which I said, you told her what? Lunch was ruined, by the way. I was so mad. Well, y'all know, I couldn't believe she put me out there like that, especially without asking me first. But she keep persisting saying that this artist is really talented, that she really likes her, and that she's a nurse. My friend who was telling me this girl's story, she was a nurse and she didn't know the first thing about helping someone get their music out there. And to be honest, neither did I. And I didn't know what convinced her to think that I could help this artist. Honestly, to this day, I don't know what she saw in me. She had no knowledge of my professional background. And at the time, I was a manager, HR assistant. I was an office manager, HR assistant for a mental health agency. She was aware that I worked for a mental health agency in that capacity, but what would make her think I had the ability to market someone music in the industry I knew nothing about? Eventually, I was so mad, I just crossed my arms and did what I now normally would do when I'm really upset. And I just basically shut down. I got quiet. I didn't say anything else during the rest of that lunchtime, but I respectfully listened. But my friend kept pressing until I finally said, look, I don't know the first thing about marketing, number one, and I don't know the first thing about the music industry. So you need to go back and tell your friend, I can't do it. It's basically what I told her. And then I made the mistake of asking, by the way, what kind of music does she do? My friend answered, rap. I bust out laughing. I'm like, no, no, I know you are joking. You're kidding me. But it was enough to change the mood at the table because first of all, you were asking me to get involved in the industry I don't know about. Secondly, you were asking me to do something I've never done, market someone else's music. And then on top of that, it's rap music. I like rap music, but I ain't that big of a fan of rap music. You know, that was my mentality, and that's why I thought it was funny. So I said to her politely, are you kidding me? This is a joke. Seriously, Cammy, this is a joke. To which she said, please, I know if anybody can help her, I know you can. Just listen to her music. So I finally agreed to listen to her music only. I don't know, I had on her music maybe 2 weeks before I finally sat down, placed her music in my computer to listen to it. Y'all, after I listened to my girl's music, her tracks, her music was off the chain. Her flow and her style was like, I couldn't stop listening to it. So I finally agreed with Cami, and I told her, you know what? I'll call her up. I'll call her up out of respect, because I really did like her music, to tell her I can't do it. I'm just not the one to help her out. I will give her that much respect. And she says, okay, cool. I appreciate that. So I called her up with the number that Cami had gave me, and I fell in love with the girl's personality. She was just so cool. We just hit it off right off the back. And I listened to her as she poured out her story to me and the challenges that she was having. And she really had a sad story. She really did, because the girl is talented, and the names that she was throwing at me, and I'm like, are you serious? The people that she worked with, I was just so impressed. But that's neither here or there. And then she says, just help me. She asked me, just help me to get in this one particular event that I've been trying to get in for years. And again, I made a mistake by asking that question. What event are you trying to get into? This chick was trying to get into the largest annual festival that happens on the East Coast every summer. And she hadn't got one response. And I'm like, you have lost your mind. You have fallen down, hit your head, and lost your mind, and need to jump off this cliff and go find it. Cause, all right. But she was so convincing, and I knew this was a very talented girl. I didn't understand, based on what she was describing, why she hadn't gotten in yet either as well. So, but anyway, I'm a type of person, one of my pet peeves, shortcomings, strength within a weakness is I hate to see people who are real talented, has real purpose, and they're not using it to their fullness. That drives me batty. So because of that soft heart of mine, I says, okay, I'll try, but I ain't guaranteeing nothing, and I don't want you to be disappointed if it doesn't work out. She was cool with that. On the first try, I found out who I needed to reach out to, who was over the music section of the music of that year's event. And I believe I emailed that individual and pitched Ace in her music. And on the first time, she gives me a call back. The chick told me, look, we're really full. We don't really have a spot, but we do have one opening that I can share the stage with her before a smaller audience. And I said, we'll take it. And so I got her in. We get there, and what this chick calls a small audience is no small audience. And so Ace finally shows up, and she's panicking, getting stage fright. So I'm peppering her up, trying to get her ego boost so she can get out there and perform. And she did. She went out there and performed. But it wasn't her best performance. I asked her, one of the questions I asked her, what single are you singing? And she told me the name of the title of the track. I don't remember it right now at the moment. I said, nah, don't do that one. Do this one. And the one I was asking her to do was not one of her favorite tracks. I said, look, for this audience, you need to do that track. So she agreed to switch it up. She so happened to have that music with her, and she did that track. And she blew it up. She blew it up. Wasn't her best performance, but the track was on time for it. And she got pretty good response from just the lyrics of the track. And she came back and says, you know what? She called me D, even though D is not my nickname. You're right. That track, I need to, with that particular type of audience, I need to perform that track more often. So we had success. And 5 years later, by the time our partnership finally did come to a closure, she was, like I said, she started off when we were working together only in the DMV area in small little pockets. By the time her and I got through, she had spread out to at least 7 states. Several other, what do you call those guys? Vendors were calling her to book gigs with her. We had crossed over to a few international areas. There were a couple of management groups that were trying to steal her away from me. It didn't matter, because if she wanted to do something else, she could do something else with another management company, but she was sold out because we were making progress and moving fast. In fact, the things that I was doing for her to help market her music got so much attention that other artists started calling me and says, hey, I see what you're doing for Ace. Can you help me and do the same thing with my music and my career? Fortunately, I was able to speak with a very powerful management company, a girl who owns a management company in the music industry. And one of the best advice she gave me was, as you grow, don't take on more than 1, maybe 2 artists at a time. Because if you take on more artists than you can handle, then the artist is going to suffer. And then you're going to water down your ability to really serve the artist that you're responsible for. So, but if it's about nothing but money for you, go for it, what you know. And I heed that counsel. Now, how I did get involved with a lot of artists, different artists, was Ace somehow, to this day, I don't know what poem that she came across, but on one of my social media platforms, she came across a poem that I had written. And I have a tendency of write to express my emotions, whether that's anger, frustration, joy, peace, sadness, or whatever. But to this day, I couldn't tell you which poem she came across. But when she read the poem, what she heard was music and a lyricist. And so she came to me with a proposition. And this was her proposition. Deidre, that poem was off the chain. I really believe you can write music. And I looked at her, no, I can't. It was just a poem. And what poem were you talking about? And she never told me which poem she was referring to. She says, no, you can write music. You should try to write a song and put it out there. I said, see, again, you have lost your mind, jumped off the cliff somewhere, and you need to go find it. And she was so determined to prove that I can write music. This chick may have spent 3 months every time we talk bringing that poem up and trying to convince me to write and release some music. To finally, I got so tired of hearing her talk about me writing music that I was like, you know what? If you don't stop, this is going to be the end of our partnership. And then she did something that changed everything. She dared me. She challenged and dared me. She says, okay. And this was the bet that she made. If you go ahead and write one song, have it produced, and release it, I will leave you alone. That was the dare, pretty much. I was like, bet, deal. my part of the deal, I was thinking in the back of my head, I ain't gonna be able to pull it off anyway. At least she'll start harassing me about it. And so I wrote my first song, my first title track called Lost. And I partnered with a guy named Gino who has a small music company, recording company in South Carolina. And he sang the lyrics I wrote and mastering the track. And so then I did what I promised to do. I put it out there. I put it out there on a few social media sites that I was using for Ace. Y'all, I was shocked with the response I got back. I was like, okay, that was just love. Let me try it again. So I wrote a second track. And this track was called Every Time I Weep. And what I did is I did a little creative video based on my skill set at that time. Put the video out there, inviting any producer who wanted to try to produce the lyrics. And this guy out of North Carolina, Charlotte, North Carolina, who produce and record music, saw the video on YouTube. And he shot me an email and says, hey, I would like to take a chance on it. Man, that boy produced the you know what out of that track. And you could tell when he was singing it, he was feeling it. And it didn't hurt. He was very, very attractive. So I put the song out there and the girls went crazy. Again, it didn't hurt that he was young and very attractive. As soon as I put it out there, colleges were calling to book him. But Lacey B, if I didn't say his name, Lacey B didn't have a real strong singing voice, and he just completely froze on the stage, on his first stage performance at a college that I booked him at. And then he brought his girlfriend out, who was, oh my God, just a powerful singer who got him through that. But anyway, the real problem was and this was not to my knowledge, when he recorded his vocals on my track, he put a lot of ad-libs on it. Is it called ad-libs or audibles? Auto-tune, I'm sorry. He put a lot of auto-tune on it, but it still was hot. The track was hot. But his attempted live performance showed me that he was a better producer than he was a singer. So anyway, but I still love you, Lacey. So after I had success with that track, I said, okay, let me try this one more time. And if this one doesn't flop, then I know I'm on to something. So I wrote a hip hop rap song called Love Conspiracy. It is based on one of my past relationships that didn't work out the way I hoped. My past marriage that didn't work out. So it's about my ex-husband. And so I gave it to Ace, because she threw her vocals on there. And we tracked down a male hip hop singer who could do the male part, because it was a female male part, because it was this back and forth thing going on between the two. And so I tracked down a guy named Crucify. He was young, but an Asian guy named Crucify out of Canada. And Ace took their vocals and produced the track for me. Lacey heard the track later when I had posted it and decided he wanted to put an R&B feel to it on the chorus. And I was like, okay, cool. Let me see what you do with it. And when he put that R&B chorus on there, I love it. I love it. So I took the original track down and posted that. And when I put that out there, that track got me attention to several record labels. They started knocking at my door and started watching what I was doing online. And it put me on international waters. My fan base, if you want to call it that, just exploded. It was from that song that my music got on the radio and things of that nature. So I was like, okay, this is for real. So let me put some sweat equity capital, some real capital in what I'm doing. So I hired a professional recording producer studio and recording artist out of Nashville, Tennessee. And I wrote the song, Don't Know How to Love. It's a country song. And I didn't intend for it to be a country song, but the artist that he chose to use was a country singer named Holly Sims. And oh my God, Holly was feeling the lyrics. She blew the lyrics out of the water. And when I heard it, I was like floored. So I put the music out there, and that song solidified my talent, my songwriting ability. I allowed my mom to hear the track. She just cried. To this day, I don't know why my mother cried, but I knew she was pleased with it. Then shortly after that, I went to visit my dad and in Merlin, well, not Merlin, West Virginia. And he listened to it and he was like, "You wrote this? Are you serious? You wrote this?" And then he went to tell me about his musical career and success as a young man. And I didn't know my dad was in me. I knew he played the saxophone, but I didn't know he had that kind of level music talent and how popular his small band was at that time. But he was like, we were too much into ladies and all that stuff, so we messed that up. But he told me, you know, that this is really good. It really is. So my dad was proud, so that made me felt real good because I'm a daddy. Look, I'm a daddy's girl. I love my daddy. I might love my mama too, but I love my daddy. So anyway, so I was pleased to know my daddy was really pleased with my music. Then after that one, Felicia and I met sometime after that. And to this day, I don't know how Felicia became aware that I had music out there that did very well. Never told her that. In fact, I kept that part of my life secret from my friends and family. I just didn't share the success I was having in that arena. Mostly because I'm private. Secondly, I don't like people knowing my business. But at any rate, I just never shared it. And so however she came to the knowledge that I was having some success with music. I think by the time Felicia and I met, I hadn't really done anything with my music, writing or anything for about 2 years. I had put music out there and it was making a little bit money, and I was sitting. Even though I had some other music written up, but I wasn't doing anything with it. And then she comes to me, she says 2 things. One, she said, I've always wanted a company of my own, but I just never could really get going. And then she jumps in front of me, this dirty old box hard suitcase. I don't know, it might have been this big and that thick. And inside the suitcase, when she opens it, it's a bunch of papers. I mean, hundreds of papers and notebooks. And I'm looking at her, okay, what is this? And she pulls out one and hands it to me. And I go to read it, and it's this real nice poem. Okay, I'm reading a poem, it's really good. But what is it? And she starts to sing it, y'all. Now, I've been hanging with Felicia about 2 years at this particular point. I didn't even know she could sing. And I look at her like, you can sing? And you wrote this? Oh my God. And so I go shuffling through her suitcase, and I pull out another song and I hand it to her, ask her, sing us. And I'm shocked. And I did that must be 4 or 5 times, and she can sing it. And on each song is a date. And these dates are real old. And I'm like, Felicia, how long have you been writing music? She said, I've been writing music since I was a little girl. And a lot of my music is in here. And I'm just floored. And I'm like, why have you not done anything with your music? And she gives, just like Ace, gives me a sad story, how she tried to hook up with a producer, and the producers that she kept coming across were only after one thing. And she just finally gave it up. And then on top of that, when she did sing, she would have different individuals who would try to shut her up by complaining that she couldn't. Felicia doesn't have a very strong voice, but she has a voice. She has a really good voice. And I strongly believe she gets with the right producer who help her to learn the right key she sings in. Especially with the lyrics that she has written. And she hears the music along with her lyrics. And then I learned she has several family who's doing pretty well in the music industry. You know what? I'm gonna leave that one alone. But and then she's from Memphis. A lot of talented musical artists come out of Memphis, you know. So at any rate, so it's in her blood, it's in her DNA. And I was just so impressed. And then she wants to work with me. The best way I can describe Felicia's talent is I've had the privilege of working with some really good singing, recording artists, independent singing, recording artists. Many of them very professional, sleek, attractive. I've worked with artists out of Tennessee, artists out of the DMV area, artists here in South Carolina, and I've had a few artists overseas wanted me to work with them and what have you. And Felicia is that artist that's all rolled up in one. Smart, a true lyricist, intelligent, have a fairly decent voice, musical, just a great lyricist. And I believe in her talent. I am predicting that this woman's music, once we get rolling, would be a Grammy winner, producer, and songwriter. I am not doubting that. And I'm gonna be right there next to her, writing some of the music with her. And so that's how I got into this industry. It was based on a dare. So artist I was helping to manage her career who challenged me. And here I am. Here I am. So Ace, girl, thank you. Thank you for seeing whatever it is that you saw in me and pushing me to use that talent. It's paid off. It is paying off. I got quite a few tracks out there. You gave me the confidence to continue writing more music. After hooking up with Felicia, I realized that if I'm going to do this, I need to commit myself to one particular genre. And I knew working with Felicia, if I'm going to co-write with her, she was only going to do gospel or worship music, Christian music, whatever you want to call it. I knew that was the only option. At the time, I had never written that type of music, but here I am. we have a whole album worth of gospel music. In fact, I probably got now in my catalog more than 30 tracks of gospel music that I've written. Felicia has hundreds. The girl been writing since her teenage years, or probably before that. She got me beat. So that should answer your question. It took me about 40 minutes to answer it, but there was no way to give that short story. And I'm telling you, the story between how Felicia and I got started is even another story within that. But again, Ace, you're my girl. Her name is Ace Rain. I love you to death. No matter what you're doing with your life, the life you live, you and I will always be buddies. I am committed to our friendship. And like I told you the last time we talked, I don't know, maybe one day we will come back together again to do music. And do music my way. So, to the person who asked the question, there's your answer. I would never, ever, guys, sell my music or work directly for a label. The music industry is too corrupted. It is. And if you're gonna do this music, you really need to do it as an independent artist. The stage and the platforms out there makes it easier to do it. It's a lot of work. That I would tell you is a lot of work. But if you build the right team around you, it can be done. I'm evidence. It can be done. Now, it takes a minute to grow your career to a point where you can live off of it. I still can't live off my music alone. There's no way in the world. Because the industry itself, the sources that you use to get paid, they will eat you alive. You know, even though you maintain exclusive right to your music. But we'll get beyond that too. We got some things in the works that's going to help to improve that situation. But I'm still making royalty off of music that I created back in 2017? Might have been 2016, 2015. So I'm still getting royalty checks off of those. But again, it's not something I can live off of yet. Yet. The key in this game is to remain humble. And don't let the industry eat you alive. Again, the key in this game is partnering with the right people. People who are serious about their craft and won't take advantage of you, and who will truly commit to a partnership. It doesn't matter how you get into this game again. I got in this game by accident. This would have not have been a career choice for me, but here I am, and I'm having success at it. All right, guys. Peace. Love you. I'm out. Talk with y'all guys soon.